Welcome to episode 37 of our series on the origins and meanings of Appalachian and Southern surnames. Each of the surnames that we'll cover today was requested by members of our YouTube community. I'm particularly interested in pre-Civil War families. On today's show, we'll investigate the origins and meanings of 10 Appalachian and Southern surnames. To disentangle their origins, we'll look back to medieval England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and France. I hope you'll join me. Let's get started, just right off the bat. Number 1, king. This old English name for a member of the nobility or monarch was also used as a nickname or for a pageant. Originally, it was spelled with regal people all over the Isles. The surname spread. Black says that it's been in Scotland since the late 1200s. It's also quite numerous in Ireland, where it can be an anglicized expression of Conry, and so on. And also the Gaelic name was changed to king. It doesn't appear in Morgan & Morgan's book on Welsh surnames, so while king is linguistically English, it could well be an acculturated Scottish or Irish surname. A paper trail could be a big help in locating the origin of your line of king. Number 2, fortune. For some reason, the past few weeks have seen a tapering off of Norman French surnames, but fortune takes us back to the Norman conquest in 1066. It means what one would think that it means, luck or chance. So, whoever was first named Fortune was either an unusually lucky person or, ironically, could have been a miserably unlucky person. It has a Gaelic form in Ireland. In Ireland it means overlord, not lucky. It's been in Scotland since the 1200s, but it's not found among the common Welsh surnames. As with other Norman surnames, it spread throughout many parts of Ireland and Scotland, so a paper trail would be an asset in locating the origin of your line of fortune. Number 3, Darling. When I saw this request, I immediately had thoughts of Charlene Darling, the lovely country girl that had an irresistible crush on Mayberry's legendary sheriff, Andy Taylor. As with most words that end with ing, most folks in Appalachia and the South typically leave off the G. Darling becomes Darlin. With a name like Darlin, one would think that perhaps its original meaning was a simple term of endearment. By the way, one of my favorite movies of all time was Terms of Endearment. If that's what you were thinking, you would be correct. It meant favorite in England. In Scotland, though, where it has been in the record since the 11th century, it originally referred to the eldest son in the house. On the Emerald Isle, it arrived around 1650 and is now found in and around Dublin and Belfast. Darlin isn't a Welsh surname. At the end of the day, this linguistically English Darling can be an acculturated Irish or Scottish surname. Number 4, Christian. This surname was derived from the Latin personal name Christianus. Not surprisingly, Christianus identified a pious person who belonged to Christ. With most of Europe at least nominally Christian, one would expect to find this surname spread throughout the continent. However, with this spelling, it appears to be most common in England, Ireland, and Scotland. I was a bit surprised to see that it wasn't listed among the common surnames in Germany or Wales. At the end of the day, I think you would need a paper trail and maybe a Y chromosome DNA test to determine the origin of your specific line of Christian. I say that because Y chromosome DNA tests can distinguish between Germanic and patrilineal haplogroups from the Isles. With that said, though, it's often hard to distinguish between German, Norman, and Danish haplogroups when it comes to men. I'm often asked about which service to use for genetic genealogy, and here's my 2 cents. AncestryDNA.com can give you a good guess at your ethnic background, but to isolate your maternal and paternal lines, Ancestry is lacking. I recommend Family Tree DNA for Y chromosome and mitochondrial, as well as ethnicity estimates. The results of my Ancestry and FTDNA ethnicity estimates are nearly the same, so they're kind of a wash. By the way, I'm a Y chromosome RDF23 and a mitochondrial DNA T2E subscript 7. And by the way, if you have a haplogroup like Q and not R1b, but you have an English sounding name, you probably have some hanky-panky in your family tree or some adoptions occurred, because that name or that haplogroup is associated with North Central Asia and American Indians. Number 5, tailor. This occupational surname was given to a cutter of cloth. Because nearly every medieval country had a tailor, various forms of it are found in France, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. I suspect that you know a paper trail would be a big help in locating the origin of your specific line of tailor. Number 6, Moody. Moody can be spelled several different ways. Folks, you know, words can change in meaning over the years and generations. Moody may sound like a mild case of bipolarity in one's personality, but that's not the case with Moody's original meaning. Moody was derived from the Old English word Modig. It meant courageous. While Moody is linguistically an English surname, it's been found in Ireland and Scotland since the 13th century. It's not found among the more common surnames in Wales, so I think Moody could be an acculturated Irish or Scottish name. Number 7, Duff. This surname hits close to my home here in Campbell County, Tennessee. I mean that literally because Duff, Tennessee is less than 10 miles from here as the crow flies. Duff, Tennessee is an unincorporated community where coal mining used to be a major source of income. You might be surprised to know that Duff is an Irish name that was given to a person with a dark complexion. That's right, a dark complexion. Folks, I can't resist talking a bit about stereotypical looks that we associate with ethnic groups. Many people think that the native Irish are red-haired and freckle-faced. Those traits are found in Ireland to be sure, but they come from the Vikings, Normans, and some English and Scottish folk who immigrated there. Native Irish people can be dark like Pierce Brosnan and Colin Farrell. So can Welsh and Scottish people. So while I think that O'Hara is a quintessential Irish name, Duff might just be even deeper in its Irishness. Number 8, Campbell. Speaking of hitting close to home, Campbell County, Tennessee is where I hang my hat. We're surrounded by counties with Scottish names, and Campbell is no exception. It's about as Scottish as a name can be. While Clan Campbell has played a major role in Western Scottish history since the 16th century, it began its existence as a descriptive name for one with a crooked mouth, or a wry mouth. George Fraser Black thinks it was probably a characteristic of an early chief. Campbell is found throughout the Isles today, but it's still regarded as a Scottish or even an Ulster Scots surname. Ulster Scots would of course be Scots-Irish. Number 9, Alen. There seems to be at least 2 points of origin for Alen. MacLeisic describes Alen as an English or Scottish surname. The English origin started with the name of a Welsh saint. Today you might be surprised to know that it's the 56th most common surname in Wales. In Scotland, Alen can be a sept of Clan Campbell. It was derived from ale, as in she's ailing a bit since she accidentally swallowed a mouthful of snuff, or it could mean rock. The Scottish Campbells and their Alen kin came to the Emerald Isle during the 17th century, the plantation era. It can certainly be considered a Scots-Irish surname, but only DNA and a paper trail can reveal the true origin of your line of Alen. Number 10, Cable. What happens if you take a Celtic or Brythonic name and apply a diminutive French suffix to it? We have Cable, among others. Cable appears in medieval Scottish records in Aberdeen and Dundee. It's absent from my Irish and Welsh surname books, so I think that Cable is either English or Scottish. Be forewarned, online sources are not in agreement on its origin and meaning. Today, of course, a cable delivers electronic signals, but I can't offer you a conclusive description of its original meaning. I do think that a paper trail will most likely lead you back to England or Scotland. Well, friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you got something helpful, meaningful out of our discussion. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps out a whole lot. I invite you to check out all the videos on the Vantage Point. In addition to the Surnames of Appalachia in the South series, they cover a wide range of topics, including a popular series on Appalachian superstitions, violence, and ghosts, premonitions and stuff. If demand warrants it, I'll be back soon with another episode on the Surnames of Appalachia and the American South. I hope to see you then. God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.